Have you ever watched the film and wondered how the director delivered the original pitch and why on earth would anyone take a chance on it? Well, that's the crux of the concept of Dead Living Zombies, the final DLC in the Far Cry 5 Season Pass. I also couldn't help thinking similar things about the wider content. Sure, it's witty, humorous, and very much in the vein of a development studio who pulled off the tongue-in-cheek Blood Dragon, but in the same bad and fiery breath, it's one of the most dull, frustrating, and forgettable pieces of content that I've played in quite some time. But you're probably asking yourself, it's got zombies, how can it be bad? But that's part of the problem because there are so many games about our brain-dead friends on the market today that before long, Dead Living Zombies just stops being enjoyable because it has no real substance. There's creativity here undoubtedly, and it all stems from the narrative which continuously takes digs at itself. The idea of a director magically dropping gas tankers and narcissistic statues of himself out of the air during a playthrough is genius and great and quite often draws a chuckle, but it rarely does anything to evolve the gameplay or make the experience particularly memorable. These moments just keep beating the player across the head with the idea that Guy Marvel is an obnoxious, egotistical Hollywood type who thinks his audience are as mindless as his creations. Something we pretty much kind of figured out in the first cutscene. And by level, pitch, scene, whatever you want to call it, number 4, I was drawing deep, heavy sighs after being told to kill an unlimited number of zombies for no real reason other than just 'cause. At this point, it just felt like the development team knew that the concept had run dry and gone the course, and they were starting to run on empty. Sure, the set pieces change and the reason for being in each environment is always different, but the core gameplay remains the same. And that focuses around the destruction of mutation chambers, killing zombies, fighting a boss, roll credits. Mutation chambers that are, by the way, destroyed by aiming and firing at multiple tiny, teeny little vials. Ubisoft couldn't have made an objective more infuriating if they tried. Dead Living Zombies is not a conventional Far Cry experience like Hours of Darkness and Lost on Mars, in that you have an open sandbox environment to explore. Here, you just follow the markers, listen to the story, and fulfill the director's intended vision. And just 5 minutes with a DLC, it becomes very clear where the effort went during its development. It wouldn't be so bad if the gameplay was enjoyable, but in many respects the DLC exposes Far Cry as a shooter. The constant need to reload, the slow tank-like weapons, the clunkiness of movement and the constant need to heal. The arcade-like fluidity of a Left 4 Dead or COD Zombies is completely absent here, even though the wealth of enemies headed in your direction would see you certainly benefit from it. Shotguns do satisfyingly take down your enemies, though I was prone to misfiring more times than I expected. 90% of the time playing Dead Living Zombies, I was forced to backpedal or strafe to the side and pepper enemies from a distance. Even then, they'd still find a way to get at me and attack from all angles. And if they didn't, then I'd somehow find myself getting caught on scenery and munched to pieces, unable to get out of the way. Unquestionably, Dead Living Zombies works best as a multiplayer game, and that's self-evident with the score attack modes and the leaderboard opportunities. As a solo experience, DLZ is about as frustrating a piece of content as you'll ever find, and is a far cry from the other 2 packs in this season pass. Dead Living Zombies is by no means terrible. In fact, it might even be the funniest DLC of the 3, with the witty back-talking, the ludicrous over-the-top enemies and sequences that crop up, and the crazy weapon types like the shovel gun. But for every joke that landed, I spent more time grunting and growling and groaning about the gameplay. The boss battles are pretty epic at times, but very tense and challenging. And that's certainly not helped by the fact that once you die, you have to start the entire scene all over again. Yet another example of Dead Living Zombies giving us something neat, but detracting from it almost immediately, seemingly without meaning to. One day we're going to look back on the Far Cry 5 Season Pass and wonder what might have been. The potential was clear for all to see. The execution has left a lot to be desired. To summarize on the pro side, there are some cool cutscenes and concepts with fun narrative, lovely visuals, clever gun types and multiplayer possibilities, and the boss battles are quite tense. On the console, it's just kind of dull. Death means a reset of a whole scene, which is so damn frustrating. Far Cry also doesn't seem suited to this type of game at all. They're not really a natural fit, and it just doesn't seem to work together as well as it should. And there are just so many better zombie games out there right now. So we've decided to give Far Cry 5 Dead Living Zombies, the final DLC in the Season Pass, a 6 out of 10. And we tested this on an Xbox One. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please feel free to give us a subscribe and a like, as it really helps the channel to grow. We'll conclude our Far Cry 5 DLC coverage of a Season Pass review to let you know whether or not this was worth buying overall. overall. Stay tuned for more DLC reviews, news, trailers, previews. See you next time.